Good morning, everyone. So first of all, I would like to welcome Isune from EFQM.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello,
Uh,
everyone.
hello. I would also like to welcome Paul Greenwood, who is a Global Marketing Director from EFQM.
Hello. Hello.
And a very interesting person you are going to be, Paul, because we know that we need your skills. We understand your skills, and we need your support in selling and creating market in India for EFQM. Okay, just to give you a brief about Quality Austria, I'm sure that you all know it. And also welcome my colleagues. My senior colleagues are here. All of them are here. So welcome all of you. Just to give you a brief, first of all, we are very excited about this partnership. And to give you a brief about Quality Austria, we started in 2010. We are an organization with a very clearly defined purpose, and our purpose is evolutionary growth. Now, when we say evolutionary growth, we are trying to communicate to all the stakeholders that when an organization grows, then there is something for all the stakeholders, whether it is employees or the customers or the promoters or the society. Now, this company we started in 2010, and since then, within our domain, we have been able to maintain a CAGR of 35%, which is highest in the industry. The second best happens to be around 16%, which is far away from us. This partnership is very strategic, and why I am saying this is strategic, because we have come a long way in Indian market, and now there is a perception about Quality Austria in India that this is an organization which is growing. This is an organization which is having a lot of people. Geographical footprint is very high. We are present almost all over India. As you know, India is a vast country. We have around 1.4 billion people. So, if you talk about India, every 51 kilometer, we have an engineer who is servicing our customer, all pan India. The partnership is very strategic because we know that those engineers who are based at different locations, they are not the people who are going to drive EFQM. EFQM is going to be a strategic decision for the organization.
Sorry, we cannot hear you. Is it me, Paul, or?
One of our strategy is to move up in the value chain. What I mean to say that when we are working with an organization is having certain expectations. Most of the time we are meeting their expectations, but we also want to move up in the value chain. That means we want to have more engagement, more meaningful engagement with them. And EFQM as a tool will definitely provide us more engagement with our customers, because this is very strategic to the customers, very strategic to us. Since this is an excellence model, we are also targeting clients who are not struggling customers. And my definition of struggling customers, that they have problems, but they do not know why these problems are happening. They may not be doing financially well. They may have bottom line issues. They may have customer satisfaction issues. They may have employee satisfaction issues. But most of the time, organizations do not know why these problems are happening. And we know that EFQM excellence model is not meant for those organizations. So this model is made for those organizations which are not struggling. That means they are slightly mature organizations. And my definition of mature organization is not the world-class organization, because that is again a destination, and people claim loosely that they are a world-class organization. But the mature organization's definition is that organizations are aware that there are problems. Organizations are aware that there are issues with the customers, stakeholders, and they know the processes, they know how to reach there. They believe in processes, they define SOPs. People are trained, people are sensitized, people are aware, people are accountable to make sure that these SOPs are implemented to achieve the desired result. So our goal is to target those customers who are mature organizations. In India, we have 2,100 customers who are working with us. And for EFQM, we did a deep dive exercise few months back. We did a strategic dive also for this project, and we found out that around 5% of our customers are actually qualifying, wherein we can pitch in EFQM as a product to them. So out of 2,100, 2,100, only 5% customers, to our opinion, are going to be our target customers in next few months. Uh, as I'm sure that you all know that India is story. India is a country with 1.4 billion. A lot of people think that we are a poor country. That is true as well. But we have around 30 million people who are filthy rich. 30 million. Filthy rich means they have disposable income of more than 1 million or maybe 1.5 million US dollar. There are companies which are doing very well. We have a young population. Out of 1.4 billion people, 65% people are less than 35-year age. And the working hand that we have is unique. I mean, it is better than any other country, and that is where the growth of India is assured for coming at least 2 decades, if not three. Our GDP is growing. We are growing at 7 to 8%. Even during COVID time, there was no degrowth. We have been able to maintain our growth. And the reason is that India does not rely heavily on export. So if Mr. Trump has levied tariff, which is 26%, 34%, I'm sure that it will impact the sentiment of the market because people are emotional. Sometimes people are not driven by the fact, by the data. But overall, if I look at our businesses are quite protected, and I don't see any degrowth in Indian market because our export consumption is very less. Our import as well as export is not very high. We are hardly exporting 7 to 8% is of total our GDP. Our agriculture income is still around 50%. Our industry is contributing around 27%. So I don't see any kind of real threat coming from this kind of tariff war. Uh, it's a developing country, and why I'm telling you because you have to understand the sentiment of the market. You already have partners in India. Some of them, I'm sure, must be doing well. This model is already there with the Confederation of CII, Confederation of Indian Industry. They do it in a different way. They call it differently, but the model remains same where the enablers and results are correlated. I have read 2025 version and the two inclusions which are very impressive, and I would like to thank EFQM for including those. That makes the whole standard quite, I would say, inclusive, and that also makes it more adoptable by the industry because industry is talking about ESG, industry is talking about sustainability, and digitization is something which is the requirement for the time being. So both the requirements I see as part of the EFQM 2025 model, which is a welcome sign. Uh, there are companies which we wherein we are already in touch with, and I'm sure that in time to come this partnership is going to bring a lot of result which are going to be mutually beneficial. So thank you very much for considering us as your partner. I can assure you on behalf of my team that this partnership is going to bring good result. This is going to be beneficial to both the partners, EFQM as well as QACA. My team is very excited. People have already started get in touch with potential customers. We have lined up a few trainings also end of this month, and I'm sure that this is going to go up. So once again, thank you very much for considering us as a partner, and you have my commitment that we'll give our best to make sure that this partnership is successful. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. And we are also, on behalf of EFKM, I can say that we are delighted with this partnership, with the kickoff of our partnership. As you mentioned, India has a great potential as a country. It's a developing country with many employees, many important industries and companies. And even if EFKM started as a European organization, we have now a global reach because we have a model that I will shortly explain that can be adopted by any type of organization in any country. So we see a growing interest in new markets. One of them is India. So we are confident that with this new partnership, many organizations in India will benefit from having EFKM trainings provided by a trusted partner, and that they will be able to transform the organizations, change their organizations, and achieve a sustainable performance improvement. So thank you also for becoming our partners, and we are really excited for the years to come. Is it fine if I introduce the model EFKM briefly, or do we wait
Yes, you can
for
introduce
Catalan?
the model. Yeah.
Okay. So we already mentioned some things, but I will give a short introduction of who EFKM is, what we do, and then, of course, the model and how the model will be able to help organizations continuously improve. So EFKM is an organization, a non-for-profit organization that was, as I mentioned, initially established in Europe, but it has also evolved as Quality Austria, and we have now a global reach. We have offices in Brussels, in Frankfurt, in London, Dubai, and Riyadh. But we have a global reach. We act directly in many countries around the globe, and also we have strategic partnerships with organizations such as Quality Austria Central Asia, so that more organizations can have direct contact with EFKM products and services. The purpose of EFKM is to support organizations on achieving their sustainable performance improvement, so that they will make an effect in the communities, on the people that they employ. So this will drive a better future for people, for communities, and for the organizations itself. We divide our services in three main streams. So we train, we build capabilities. For that, we have created a new training pathway, a training and learning pathway, which is called the EFKM Business Transformation Leader. We will go in more details on, this learning pathway, and this is really a key product for us, and we are very happy that Quality Austria will be able to deliver the trainings directly in the market. We also offer assessment. I think there is some echo. Yeah. We also offer assessment services. So we analyze organizational performance, and we identify their strengths, their performance gaps, and we support them in having a good and proper blueprint of their performance, of the level of their organization. And we also offer the transform stream, which is about a suite of technology, AI-driven benchmarking and improvement tools to accelerate, to support organizations changing, improving after they have gone through an EFQM experience. So briefly what we do, and especially it's important to explain the EFQM model today, because all our services, products are built around the model, around how an organization can adopt the model, can be assessed against the model, can be trained on the logic, on the tools of the model, so that they can help their organizations to succeed, to improve. And this is a model that is globally recognized, is the only model with global reach, because we know that there are many excellence models and performance models, but EFQM is the one that has global reach. It's been used by many organizations, and as we mentioned, it's applicable. It can be used by any type of organization, regardless their size, their sector, or the country of origin. It's been, of course, improved and evolving around the years. But as we mentioned, it supports organization in managing change, improving performance. And even if the original one was created in 1991, we keep it up to date. We regularly update it in order to keep it up to date and to include the latest changes in the environment, in the business world. So as you mentioned, Pankaj, one example is the digitalization, that it's now, of course, very important in the model. Sustainability has always been important, but we regularly update the model in order to integrate the most relevant topics in the business world. The EFQM model, as I mentioned, was originally created by European organizations, so it still has European values. They have European values embedded in the model, and also the integration with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So as mentioned, it's a model that is very much focused on sustainable performance, but looking at the people, planet, and profit. So looking at all the dimensions of sustainability and really making sure that the organization will be also sustainable in the future. Sorry, I can't. Yeah, so the model is, as I mentioned, used by many organizations coming from different countries around the world. Big manufacturing corporations, smaller schools, public administration. You can see some of the model users here, but there are some studies that say that we have more than 35,000 model users in the world. And the key differentiator of EFQM is that, as I mentioned, it's the only global management framework, and it's the one that helps organizations to embed the culture of continuous improvement and helping them change and transform. We have many use cases or case studies of different organizations. So why they decided to adopt the EFQM model, what is the challenge, the problem, or the need they had, and how the model helped them to undergo this challenge or improve or address the need they had. You can find many more cases on our website. There is the link here, but here we have just mentioned some. So you have the example of BMW Group, huge manufacturing group. We have also the case of foundations. So this is the Real Madrid Foundation. And then we also have an example of facility management in a healthcare sector. So as you can see, we have a variety of model users, and you can learn more about their own experience by visiting our website. What is the benefit of the model, or how does the model add value to organizations? We already mentioned that it supports organization in achieving sustainable performance, but what are the key differentiators or the key or the crucial things that the model can offer and can support organizations with? One element is that the purpose and vision of the organization is very relevant in the model. And this, we know that it's very important nowadays. So it helps the organization to align all their activities, all their efforts around the purpose and vision they have established. And it also supports the organization to create a culture of outstanding performance on trying to always be better, go to the next level. So the model encourages organizations to always improve and aim for a better performance. The model itself is flexible because it can be adapted by any type of organization, but also encourages flexibility to organizations, making sure that there is a structure, because the structure is always needed, but that in case there are needs for change, for modifications, that the structure, the culture of the organization is flexible enough, and that they are really innovative and can come up with new ideas and new ways of working. The model has also always been very known by the focus on the key stakeholders. So already 30 years ago, it was the only and the first model looking at society. So really caring about the society stakeholders. And as I mentioned, the focus on a stakeholder, the engagement with a stakeholder, the relationship management with a stakeholder is one of the key elements of the model, and this is still relevant in the current version of the model. Another differentiator of the model, and that really adds value to the organization, is that while the model encourages organizations to have some sort of, as I mentioned, a structure, processes, performance management, control, it also encourages organizations to be looking at the future, trying to anticipate to the changes that might come, so that the organization, while performing currently in the, levels of performance expected, they are also having a look at the future and they are ready for transformation when and if needed. Also, an important element of the EFQM model is how the model also asks organizations to look at the external factor. One key word of the model is the ecosystem. So what is the role of the organization in the ecosystem that it operates, and what are the different external stakeholders, factors, megatrends that can affect the organization. So this helps the organization to be ready, to be alert for any potential changes that might occur. And also, as we mentioned, the model offers the opportunity for the organization to compare themselves against the globally known model, so that they can identify their current strengths, but also identify the gaps that might be strategically important for them in order to achieve their strategy and get closer to their purpose and vision. So this is really helpful for the organizations to, of course, assess themselves, see where they are, but also get inspiration, get motivated on being better by seeing what other outstanding performing organizations can do. So I will briefly introduce the model, but I won't go too technical. But basically, how the model is structured. So it's structured based on three very simple but powerful questions. So we have the why. The why is setting the direction of the organization. So it really tells us, okay, why does the organization exist? Why was it created? What is the purpose of the organization? So why are they why do they exist? Why are they operating? Why are they offering their products and services? What do they want to achieve? And of course, related to that, what's the strategy of the organization? So what is their future looking like for the short and long-term strategy? That's really like saying, okay, this is the organization, this is what the organization intends to achieve. Then we have the how, and the how is about the execution of the activity of the organization. So we have a strategy, we have a purpose, but how is the organization going to achieve the strategy and the purpose? So what is the plan? What is the process? What is the services? What is the products that the organization will design and develop and deliver? And how are they going to improve them? So it's really looking at the let's say production part of the organization. And then last but not least, we have the what. So what is referring to the results? And here we have, okay, what is the organization achieving to date? So based on their strategy, based on their performance, what is the result? So what is the performance level of the organization when we look at their key results? But it's not only the current performance, it's also looking at, okay, I'm looking at the future. What is the organization intending to achieve? And this is a differentiating factor of the EFQM model, because it's talking about predictive analysis, predictive data, trying to anticipate to, okay, what is the performance levels we will need for the future? So this is integrated also in the what, okay? Current performance, but also the estimation of how the organization will be improving, performing in the future. The model, so we have three pillars, which is direction, execution, and results. And then for each of the pillars, we have different criteria. In total, we have 7 criteria in the EFQM model, but when we look at the direction, the why, we find that we have 2 criteria. We have purpose, vision, and strategy, and organizational culture and leadership. So looking more at the softer aspects of the organization. So we have 3 pillars, then we have criteria under each pillar, and then under each criteria we have criterion parts. Okay, for example, for purpose, vision, and strategy, we have 5 criterion parts. Each of them address a specific topic or subject, and then underneath they have guidance points that will serve as inspiration for the organization. So this is how it is structured. I won't go in all the details on the content of the model, but for everyone to understand what's the structure and what's the logic behind. So under direction, we have 2 criteria. Then under execution, we have 3 criteria, which is about stakeholder engagement. So how do we build and maintain sustainable relationship with stakeholders? Then criteria number 4 is really about the core business of the organization. So how is the organization creating sustainable value for their key customers? And then the fifth criteria is about performance. So driving performance and transformation while, as I mentioned, while the organization is executing their processes, their activities, how are they also getting ready for the future and for potential changes and transformations. And then when we look at the results, we have two criteria, which are the perception of the different stakeholders. So this is the opinions, the belief, how the stakeholders feel about working with the organization. And then we have criteria number 7, which is strategic and operational performance. So this would be the key performance indicators when it comes to measuring the activity, the performance level of the organization. And here we have different categories, looking at the performance towards the key stakeholders, but also looking, of course, at economical and financial key indicators, looking at indicators more related to transformation, to the current performance, but also, as I mentioned, we have an element of the future, which is predictive measures for the future. So this is the model, just a recap, 3 pillars. Underneath each pillar, we have 2 or 3 criteria, and then under each criteria we have 4 to 5 criterion parts. Okay, and then each criterion part will give a guidance point for the organization on what other sustainable performance organizations are doing. You can see that the organization is at the center, and that's very important, and this is what makes the model so flexible and applicable to any type of organization, because we have a framework, but then on this framework we look at the organization and how this organization is performing against the model, but taking into consideration the reality of the organization, the strategy of the organization, the goals they want to achieve, and what is relevant for this organization when we look at the EFQM model. And then you will see that we have the 7 criteria, and then we have some words around the model, and this is the radar. Okay, the model is composed of the criteria and the radar. The radar is an acronym that I will explain later, but radar is the tool, the EFQM tool, to improve the organizational performance, to see, okay, where are the gaps, what are the things that maybe we are not doing so well that we could improve. But it also helps to identify also the performance level of the organization, to measure how well the organization is doing something. Going back to radar, the acronym, R is for results. So we always start by defining the results the organization wants to achieve. Okay, so starting with the end in mind. So why do you want to achieve those results? How much do you want to achieve? Why do you want, how good you need to be in order to achieve those results? So it's always setting okay, this is what we want to achieve. Once we are clear on that, we will define the approach. The approach is what we are going to do in order to achieve that result. And then, of course, we will need to define clearly what we will do and why are we doing it and how are we going to do it. Then after we have defined the approach, we will think of the deployment of the approach. Okay, we know what we want to achieve. We have defined what we will do to achieve that, but how are we going to do it? So how are we going to execute this? So it's looking at, okay, when are we going to deploy this? Where is it? One part of the organization? Is it one function? Is it across the whole organization? Is it a specific project? Then, okay, who will be involved? Who will be also affected? What are the resources we will need? So it's planning everything about the deployment of that approach. And then the last 2 letters are A and R, which is assess and refine. So it's really, okay, we have decided we want to achieve this. This is what we will do. This is how we are going to deploy it. Okay, so how good are we doing it, or how well have we done it? So let's assess. Have we achieved what we wanted to achieve? Are we getting the results we were expecting? How often we are going to measure this in order to know when we are, whether we are getting to where we wanted to get or not. So once we have clear understanding of, okay, this is what we have achieved, what can we improve? So what can we refine? What can we do differently in order to get this done better? Okay, so it's, again, 4 four different parts of how you assess one approach or one activity of the organization, but it's really helpful for the organization to first identify improvement needs and then plan how they are going to improve, but also to identify gaps. Where did we maybe miss something? What should we have, like maybe checked better? What can we improve? What can we maybe define differently in order to achieve the expected results? And then again, once we have achieved the expected results, let's start again. Okay, how can we get even better? So let's say, okay, we want to improve from this here. So we start with the results again. Okay, so it's a continuous cycle which drives the continuous improvement of the organization. And it's a very simple tool, but it's quite challenging when you ask the key questions and when you try to answer all of them in a proper way. So as mentioned, we have the model, we have the criteria, we have the radar, and we have, of course, an scoring that we give to the model in order to measure the performance level of the organization. The maximum points that the model can allocate or can give is 1,000 points. How they are distributed? We give 600 points for direction and execution, so the blue part of the model, and then we allocate 400 points for results. Some organizations, when they are new to EFQM, they say, okay, if 1,000 is the maximum, I want to get 900 points. That's not very realistic because 35 years of experience tells us that already achieving 300, 400, 500 points is a really, really good result. The model is very challenging, is very demanding, and we are talking about global outstanding practices. So already, achieving 50%, 60% is a great performance level. So just to give you some examples, the maximum score we have ever seen, and this is coming from the EFQM Global Award applications, which are the highest performing organizations, is 799 points. Okay, we don't know any organization who has scored more than 800 points. And I can tell you that this 799 is a world-class organization. So we need to make sure that the organizations know that 500 points is not 5 out of 10, because 1,000 is impossible to achieve. 1,000 is perfection, and perfection doesn't exist, at least in the business world. So just a recap, a reminder, how the model helps organizations to change, to improve, to continuously be looking at opportunities. We use the criteria and the content of the criteria, the guidance points that I mentioned earlier, to identify what other organizations do, what are the good practices, the leading practices from other organizations, and then compare, okay, maybe we can get inspiration. This is not applicable for us, but yeah, we are maybe identifying that we have a gap here. So it's really looking at the qualitative aspect and what, type of activities, topics we can maybe start implementing. But then we use radar to identify the performance level, so how well we are doing that, and identify, okay, what is what we should improve when we look at the performance level, when we ask the 4 questions that I explained earlier. So it's a combination of using the content, the ideas of the criterion part, and then using radar to measure, to identify opportunities for improvement. So that was the brief introduction of the model. And now I will quickly go through the 3 main services that we can offer. The first one, as I mentioned, is the training part. And I have already anticipated that we have the scheme called Business Transformation Leader. This is a pathway, and this helps organizations to build internal capability to make their organizations improve better, to improve, to perform better, to change. The Business Transformation Leader pathway offers managers, leaders, the tools, the content, the skills to assess their organization, to be able to manage change, to anticipate to changes, and then transform the organization so that they can achieve sustainable performance improvement. We have defined 4 different training tracks or learning tracks. The first one is the assessment one. And this is a combination of course, a foundation level course, which is the model foundation. And then after passing this foundation level course, the individual have 2 practitioner level course, which are longer training sessions, and they also have an exam. So when a participant achieves the foundation level and then the 2 practitioner levels, then they get the expert level. Okay, expert level is the result of going through different training and passing different training. So it's a designation, it's a badge we give them, but it's not a training itself. Okay, the trainings are in level 1 and level 2. So going back to the assess, we have the EFQM model foundation, and then we have the training that helps individuals to understand more in depth the model, how they can apply the model in practice within their organization. So how the model relates to the way they work and how they can improve their performance by implementing the model. So that would be the excellence practitioner. And then we have the certified assessor course, which is the one that will equip individuals with the tools, techniques to assess the performance level of the organization against the model. So we have the implementation part and the assessment part. And if an individual goes through the 2 trainings, he or she will get the excellence expert certification. The improved track has the same foundation course because it's an introduction to the model. And then we have 2 practitioner level courses. We have on one hand the assessor course, because this individual will be able to assess the performance of their organization or external organizations. And then we combine it with the performance improvement practitioner course, which is, okay, once we have analyzed the performance, we have assessed the performance of an organization, and we have identified improvement opportunities, how do we apply a radar? How do we go to the next level of implementing the radar to our improvement needs? And how can we drive performance improvement within the organization? So if the individual passes all the trainings, then he or she will get the EFQM Improvement Expert certification. And then we have the other 2 tracks, which are related to the model, but the core content of the training are not, it's not the model. We have the change track. And here again, we have a foundation level course, which will help the individual to understand the different change management tools, the different processes and steps when it comes to change. And then we have the practitioner level course, which is really learning one methodology for change, a proven methodology developed by one of our partners, and how this applies in practice and how this can be adopted by the organization, and the person would be in charge of this change within the organization. So passing the two courses will grant the individual with the EFQM Change Expert certification. And then last but not least, we have the sustainability, the sustain track, which is again a foundation level course where we will teach the sustainability principles, the main topics of sustainability, of course, always with a link to the EFQM model. And then in the practitioner course, we go much more in depth how the organization can apply sustainability practices following different steps, and then how this also relates to the ESG, to the different regulations we have currently. And again, after passing the foundation and practitioner, the individual will get the expert level. The level 4 is the master, is the top of the business transformation leader pathway. And this is given to individuals when they have achieved at least 3 of the expert levels. Okay, so this is also a designation, and this is the highest level of recognition when it comes to individual training certification, and this is the business transformation leader. So this is the EFQM training pathway, and we are very happy to have Quality Austria being able to deliver these courses. So the different organizations, the individuals in India will be able to get all these trainings and help their organizations improving better. Then we have the recognition part, the assessment part. As I mentioned, the EFQM model allows organizations to assess their performance, and we offer different assessment services, can be self-assessment, can be guided external assessment, but we also have some more standard assessment processes that allow us to come up with a recognition scheme. based on the performance level of the organization, we can deliver external recognition. This is what we call the recognized by EFQM scheme, and this is applicable for any type of organization, regardless their maturity level, starting from very foundation level performing organizations to world leading performing organizations. Then for the highest performing ones, we have the EFQM Global Award, but this is by invitation only, or a contest where the applicants need to qualify, but the recognized by EFQM is open for any organization who wants to showcase their sustainable performance. When it comes to recognition, we have two options. Okay, we have the rapid review and the advanced. The rapid is a quick performance review against a simplified or condensed version of the model, and it can be done with no preparation at all. The organization doesn't need any prior knowledge or doesn't need to be familiar with the EFQM model, because it's a very simple process that will help them get more familiar with the model, and it's a guided process, so they don't need to prepare anything in advance, and they don't need to get any training or qualification before they go for that. It's a quick assessment done in a couple of days, and as a result, the organization will get a feedback report with strengths and opportunities for improvement at 3 model pillar levels, so direction, execution, and results, as I explained earlier. And then there is also a simplified score, which is out of 100 points instead of the 1,000 points of the full model. As mentioned, this is a quick process, and the whole process can be done in a week. And the organization, depending on their performance level, can get 1 or 2 stars EFQM for sustainable performance. Then we have the advanced review, which is a full assessment against the model. This is much more comprehensive performance review, and it takes all the elements of the model. So the pillars, the criteria, criterion parts, and guidance points, and also the full radar. Here we are talking about a business review, which is very, very comprehensive and will give the organization a clear picture on their performance levels against each of the elements of the EFQM model. There is more preparation needed, of course, and the process is a bit longer, but as the outcome, we will get a very detailed feedback report with strategic level feedback, which is the executive summary, and then more detailed actionable or operational feedback that comes with a list of strengths and opportunities for improvement for every single model criterion part. And here we will also have the full scoring, so the performance level of the organization out of 1,000 points. As mentioned, this takes a bit longer time, so instead of in a week, more or less it takes between 4 to 6 months, and the outcome is 1 to 8 EFQM recognized stars for sustainable performance. So based on the score they get, so if they get more than 300 points, would be 3 stars. If they get more than 400 points, 4 stars, and so on and so forth, based on their performance level. The maximum is 8, because of the reason I explained earlier, which is that we don't have any organization who has achieved more than 7 stars in the past. But of course, we know that organizations are getting closer and closer, so why not we have the 8-star as potential option. And then, and I will finish quickly, this is the transform part of EFQM services, and this is it's a different services that EFQM offers around using AI tools and technology to support organizations once they have gone through an EFQM experience, through an EFQM assessment, to benchmark, improve their performance, and of course help them to transform. We offer 2 areas of services. One is EFQM Success Map, and this is we have developed an AI tool that helps organizations to benchmark, to identify good practices from other organizations, and it really helps them to analyze their feedback report, for example, and then compare it to others and get ideas and inspirations to improve. And then we have also EFQM Sapiens, and this is also an AI tool that helps them to put together their information, to analyze the information they have based on the submission, based on the feedback report, and then give them hints and help them to identify also what they should be, doing next. So it's a combination of data comparison, performance comparison, and also more venture learning or qualitative comparison of the different approaches, good practices around the globe. And this is offered, as I mentioned, with different AI engines, agents we have created, and also what we call EFQM Data Lab, which is all the benchmarking when it comes to performance comparison. So that was all from my side as an introduction to EFQM. I know we are now just at the end of the time we had allocated, but I don't know if there is any question, if anyone wants to add anything.
Yes, I finally made it. I think there was a lot of technical issues with access.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very much there. So Arun, I think you would like to sum it up.
Yeah, thank you. As a summary, I would like to first of all say thank you to the EFQM to have considered and have a faith in the Quality Austria Central Asia's operations, and have faith with the team which we have. Mr. Venkatram has been leading us in this whole partnership, and he is with us as our champion to drive the EFQM across. Pankaj very clearly, when very in a very summarized manner, he mentioned about the excitement which we have for the partnership. It actually provides us an opportunity to position ourselves as a service provider, which is to the niche industry. It is a niche product, and we are excited to have this product with us and to sell it and to the Indian market. We are very sweetly placed. Pankaj has very concisely mentioned that in spite of the turbulence which the entire world market is experiencing, we are still much better placed. Our Sensex is the nosedive is still limited to about 3%, whereas the international markets have plummeted about 15-17%, the various in the sectors. The reason being probably our dependence on exports to our contribution of our exports to the US is very low. But that's besides the point. Our India growth story. The India growth story is strong, and we as an organization believe that we will be able to sustain the ups and downs, and the tariff is one of such cases of ups and downs which we are having. We are not only that we are very sweetly placed in terms of the market, but also the client base which we have, which Pankaj mentioned, that we have targeted about 100 clients as a start point, wherein we would position ourselves and sector ourselves in those very segmented clients which we will attack, and we place ourselves to sell them the concepts of EFQM and eventually the model as a whole. I think I must appreciate the concised manner in which you summarize the model. Very honestly, I believe that probably one of the very good summary of the model which you have presented in a very few slides, I think 15-16 slides which you took, and I have taken some screenshots of those presentations, and I will build my own summary of because normally when we interact with the decision makers, they hardly give us any time to summarize. So a summary of a few slides in a very concise and effective manner makes the make or break decisions when we are trying to sell EFQM model to a decision maker. So thank you for introducing us to the model, and we are very excited to have this partnership. Thank you all, the team. We have been discussing internally, the Quality Austria team. We have been have had several rounds of discussion. This Mr. Venkatram is leading. I'm sure that with this partnership and with this kind of competence which we have started to build internally, we will continue to have more detailed discussions and training sessions internally, because the salespeople will need to be more trained in detail. This concise presentation will not help us to understand the model. So we would keep on doing that. And thank you all for participating in that. Mr. Venkatram, anything from your side?
Thank you very much. And it's indeed an honor to have this partnership. And it is literally the support of EFQM, which has been tremendous right from the start itself. And in particular, Yasune, Paul have been interacting with us and giving us all kind of support whenever we have asked. Even though they've been very, very forthcoming in everything that they have done. Besides, we also have had some excellent support from the rest of the EFQM team, and that makes the partnership that much better because it's a very valued relationship that we're talking about, and we can feel it, we can sense it. And obviously this particular relationship, which is going to be based, which will be much more stronger into the future, is definitely going to be helpful to both organizations, both EFQM as well as Quality Austria. And I'm absolutely glad to have all that kind of support. And from our side, since I'm leading the entire project, we will definitely do our best to make EFQM popular and spread it in India and make it much and the most chosen business framework that people recognize in India as well. So thank you very much for Yasune, Paul, of course, Russell and Salman are directly involved, and plus all the others that have been supporting us, including the tutors who have done a wonderful job. Thank you all for that. And of course, I mean, I must thank Pankaj because it is his conviction, and he's the one who is actually supporting it completely also and giving life to it. So he's throwing his weight behind this. That's also very, very important for the success of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you.
Thank you, Sune. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. It's a pleasure starting the partnership. Looking forward.
Thank you, Mr. Venkatram.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.